One last time. One last match, Felix, is all we have to decide it all for these teams. We said it would be close. We said there was a lot of teams who deserved it. And we had a lot of them on our cards. I don't think we had Myanmar on our cards when the day started. They've come out of nowhere and they've just clearly been the best team today.
Yes. Question is, does that speak volumes about us or does that speak volumes about Myanmar? Is that a lack on our side that we didn't predict them as good as they've been playing? I don't think so. I think Myanmar is outperforming themselves.
Yeah.
And situations like the last game that we've seen are also supporting that theory. They were not supposed to win that game. Let's be clear about it. They were also in a pretty good spot before that to win that last game against Indonesia, which with a little bit different circle shifts and maybe even with a different fight in terms of Indonesia and Japan, that wouldn't have happened either. So Myanmar is definitely having that little bit of luck that sometimes also, first of all, makes a difference, and sometimes you also need in a best of 12, 18 team qualification. But then again, also Myanmar is staying cool as it gets in these clutch scenarios. And that's also something that we have to give them credit for. Myanmar is not losing the rounds that they are supposed to win. And they're also not losing the rounds that they're not supposed to win. So, I mean, everything just works out for Myanmar at this point. But it's far from over. 104 points. The cutoff right now is 97. You can still get kicked out.
It's far from over. And Indonesia and Vietnam, that's essentially a best of one. That's a best of one for who goes to the World Esports Championship. There's a few other teams that might still kick themselves in the mix. But right now, that's the top four, and that's the teams we're looking at, and it's been crazy so far. I mean, we could even have another look at the standings just to talk about it again, but I feel like most people are now aware. Indonesia is super close. Vietnam has done crazy things in that last game, but even that was barely enough to push themselves inside of that top three. They're just 1 point ahead.
A single point ahead. So let's take a look at these standings once more as we do go into that very last round of the IESF World Esports Championship regional qualifiers at the Asia and Oceania region. Top three will go to Riyadh later this year. There is not going to be another chance for the rest of the players to potentially make it there. And there's only going to be 16 slots, and 5 of them will be given to Asia. 3 in this lobby, 3 of Group A, where Mongolia and Bahrain have already secured their tickets to fly to Riyadh once again later this year in and around November. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be heading into the very last game shortly, and Cole will give me your prediction one final time. Who's taking the top 3 slots?
Oh boy. I don't wanna call it. I don't know, but it feels like with momentum like that, it's hard, right? Vietnam, they've just played an insane game in the last one. Indonesia, they know as well that they played that well. It's so close. I just don't know. All I know is both of these teams deserve to go at this point. Both of them have played their absolute hearts out. If you're a fan of either of these teams, let them know in the chat. I've seen the Indonesia flags pop up like mental after the break. I've seen obviously the Myanmar fans happy about that win as well. But it's gonna be close, Felix. It's gonna be hard for either of these two teams, and I don't want to reduce it to those two teams either. There is a chance that somebody else comes in and snatches the point away from them.
Yeah, very likely. So to reiterate for you guys at home, there's so many teams that in theory would still have a chance to take it home, right? Vietnam is at 97. Well, we got to start at Myanmar even in the first place. 104 points. Vietnam 97. Indonesia on 96 points. So even with Nepal 85 and Malaysia 84, if any of these teams get the W, the win, the winner chicken dinner, oh my goodness, the chicken dinner now, they're most likely going to fly to Riyadh. So it's all down to that one game, and Vietnam for the very first time now find themselves in the qualification spot. That's also one big part that we haven't really talked about. For the very first time, they will have to secure their position instead of chasing the rest of the teams. And we do have a contest very early on. Unfortunately, for us viewers at home, I don't think it's about any team that has any real chance of qualifying.
Looking like we've got Hong Kong, Brunei, and Bangladesh in Hacienda. Having a little bit of fun in the last one. Having a little bit of a quick hot drop, bit of action. Everybody knows that. It's what you do when you're at home and you want to have a bit of early action. Hacienda is a good spot to be going to. Not looking all too clean so far for Hong Kong. not looking clean either for Brunei, but oh boy. Poor little Hong Kong player, D-Knight, stuck on the roof without a gun. But he has a little bit of a support from afar.
Yeah, more than just a little support by the looks of it.
Is he gonna punch him out?
I almost look like it.
He gets a second.
Wait. How?
But the play on the roof has just gotten the second knock. They're making this all possible. Ling Yung is carrying Hong Kong right now, and Brunei is too busy licking their own wounds and trying to reset from the casualties they've taken to actually go into that fight all too convincingly. Now, there's a 4-man sweep. The shotguns are coming out. Bangladesh done in a matter of seconds. And Hong Kong surely should be soon to follow here.
Yeah, I don't see a way they survive this. And this is a massive, massive start for Brunei. They've got 5 frags, potentially now 7 after this one. Good night from newbies. They want to make a mark. If not for this qualifier, then for the next one. They're not to be underestimated. They have qualified once already for the IESF World Championship, which was a huge upset, a huge honor for their small nation over towards Brunei. So massive, massive stuff. I think that's exactly what you want to have as a rather small nation competing against some of these really big esports nations like Japan, like Myanmar, like Indonesia especially, where you know PUBG Mobile esports players are absolute stars. They have millions of followers. I'm not kidding you guys. They have literally millions of followers on Instagram. Well, we all know who we're talking about, the big famous brothers, and you know, to kind of be able to compete against these and maybe even qualify over them. Sure, it was a different qualifier structure last year, so it was a little bit easier for them. But even be in here and compete against them at the very highest of levels is what, you know, gives these nations honor and the drive to continue playing like this.
It is a bit of a special one. It is a second separate set of pride to represent your nation. Indonesia right now, they want to prove that they have what it takes. Yummy, he's really just been putting in the work. He's really been elevating them to a different level. Razy, so much scouting, so much decision making as well. But now they find themselves in a tricky spot. Not only do they have to pass Vietnam, they also have to try and hold Nepal and Malaysia at bay. Neither of those are small feats. Not gonna be easy. Not gonna be a chill last game. It might be a slow early game, but there's so much on the line once these circles start closing on in and once this game comes into its later stages.
It's the storm. It's the calm before the storm, excuse me. It's the calm before the storm. The storm is brewing. It is slowly starting to pick up pace. Even if we see any of the top teams go out right now, there's still like 4 more teams that, you know, can take the spots out of Vietnam's and Myanmar's hands. Troublesome would only be if Vietnam is gonna go out early. That would be the worst kind of scenario. If Vietnam goes out early and they're already being shot at the moment, then it's all in the hands of Indonesia, Nepal, and Malaysia, especially Indonesia. Just 1 point is all Indonesia potentially needs to overtake Vietnam, because I do believe they're ahead in terms of winner-winner chicken dinners, and that is the first tiebreak rule. So Vietnam, under no circumstances, is supposed to go out without any point.
Pakistan got themselves the first kill, and it's no one else but Nepal on the other side. It's big. It's big. Not maybe for Pakistan, but it's terrible news for the Nepalese fans in chat. It's terrible news for the Nepalese players. So early on in the game, we're still phase 1. They've already lost a member. Like you said, they basically want a win from this. Nepal, Malaysia, they win the game. The placement points close the gaps, and the kills can do the rest, but losing a man so early is going to really, really sting. That's going to hurt, and it's going to mean they have to go for a bit of a different strategy. They won't be able to control as much area. They won't be able to be as proactive as they maybe want to be. And that really, really hampers them coming into game 12, the last round of the tournament.
Wholeheartedly agree. Not a good start for Nepal, but far from over. Even as a 3-man, they can still be very, very dangerous Leo Esports, the representative for Nepal, have shown us time and time again that just like Vietnam, they can come back to kind of the same scenario for them, like Vietnam had to kind of face in the last game. You have the next kind of skirmish. Now, obviously, a lot of these teams that can't qualify anymore will be a little bit more aggressive, especially in the early stages. We've seen that happen from Hong Kong, China, for example. We're seeing the same thing from Sri Lanka now against Japan. In fact, being the last one standing here, and Japan has a pretty good idea on where he is. I thought so, at least, but somehow they've
run a circle around him.
Yeah, they're running a circle around him, but I think they realize he's somewhere in this compound. And with this,
what?
With this only, unfortunately, I think the door got blown away by the nade before it, and then, unfortunately, because the door was not there anymore, it just kind of exploded right in front of him. And also, to make the matters worse, the one frag that they wanted to really get, which was in fact, got picked up by Noki, who's found the second one for his team.
Finds another pickup, makes sure that everybody knows Pakistan is still around. Pakistan stays active in this lobby. IQ wants to get inside as well. Clumsy, he's well known at this point. He's going to have a hard time surviving this, almost no chance at all. They're going to close this out. They're going to find that frag 90% of the time. And then, once they're done with that, they might just try and bring the pain towards Japan. That's Falak, big nade from him. And Japan knows, hey, we're not going to want to stay in this fight for now. We're trying to get the hell out of here. We're trying to dodge this as fast as we can. And I think they're going to get away with the skin of their teeth. 3 players still left standing.
3 more players to give them hope for this very last game of the tournament, of the qualification stages. Indonesia still driving around, looking for any kind of safe spot. They've just about crossed, which has to be Cambodia, towards the northern side, but they have driven away from it. If there's anything these guys do not want to have happen again, is if they're pressured into a fight earlier than what they originally had intended to do. So, Indonesia, for the time being, playing a little bit more passive than what we usually see. They also know it's all down to this one single game now. It is a single point difference between Indonesia and a qualifying spot. So once again, they got to be extra careful of not losing a player early. But also, we've seen it time and time again, teams that are under heavy pressure, they kind of change their game style just a little bit towards the end of the tournament. You cannot run away from every single fight. Right? If you do that, you're just going to get for the entirety and you lose control of the game. And we've been talking about controlling circles and controlling games for so very long. And other top teams, there's one thing that kind of unites them, and that is taking control. Not letting anyone else pressure you into fights, but being the ones to initiate it. And that is not a good sign at the start of this round for Indonesia.
It's a tricky balance. Like so many things in PUBG. Can't be too passive, can't be too aggressive. You don't want to take too many risks, but you can't run away from them. It's a hard game. It's a hard game to play. It's a hard game to stay in a fresh mental state in. We see now Vietnam. Loads of high ground. Batman on the high ground. Iconic. Spotting things out for the squad, realizing there's a team coming away. Maybe we'll see Lamborghini try and pick up 1 or 2 of those frags there on the lower ground. He's got Japan cruising towards him. There is a chance that he unleashes there. Barrel from range, not the optimal gun for this, but Lamborghini up close is something to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah, if he's shown us anything that...
Oh, look at this.
That is that he can literally fight anyone right now. Next circle, yes, does shift relatively far towards the east, but it's not too much of a hard shift. Gives heavy circle towards Indonesia, so I'll take it all back. In hindsight now, that dodge against Cambodia and driving down from hillside that I think they originally wanted to play, which is a really good position as well, proves to be very valuable now with this new circle. They are immediately in the very center of it. Question only is, there's few positions that can be played there, but none really have definitive hard cover. So maybe even a Far East rotate into the combat that Astrox is rotating in right now would be something I personally would like to play, because you know you have a clean edge and you can fight your way in from the east side, if you have a clean edge especially, relatively easily. But they're not going to do that. I think they're staying at the ridge lines they have. Nepal though, opening things up. They're only a 3-man, be reminded, and they're fighting against Myanmar, one of the teams that has big struggles right now. They've just won the last game in a miraculous fashion, but they still need a couple of more points to solidify them in the top 3. But it looks like this time around, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Just 2 players left alive.
Yeah.
But one of them is Smile. And if you've known anything, then Smile can win any situation that he's been given.
It's a big point, regardless, for Nepal if they're able to grab it, which it seems like, even though they don't know where the knock is, that should still be a bleed that they are able to confirm. And that's a point, and that's another one towards Taipei there. 2 teams in front of them that haven't had the best time in fighting, Felix. This could be Nepal walking over some of these kills. And this could be them grabbing such needed points. But there's a knock coming the other way. That's a nade. And that's Nepal down to 2. Just like that. Oh, this could be it for them.
Could be it. Could be disastrous. Could be the end of it. Nepal now pushing around the corner. Supper knows he's there. Goes down. High Demi with a very dangerous 1v1. His teammates were not close by to potentially trade him. But he's gonna make it work, at least for now. Only 2 frags being secured. Nepal, people in the chat and fans of Nepal especially have been debating whether or not Nepal once again will be, unfortunately, dwindling in performance towards an end of a tournament, choking, so to speak. And it looks like Nepal really does have its problem with making big rounds possible towards the end of it, right when it comes important.
It's a good knock. That's a good pre-fire around the corner as well. Has a reasonable idea of where this player's going to be, but there's more than one. Oh, it's a disaster. It's trades in the corners. Ayaya knocked to his feet. It's just 1 up for Nepal in a 1v2. This is an impossible angle to clear as well. If Taipei doesn't overstep, this is going to be so hard. Ayaya flushed. Oh, their dreams are falling apart. They've really not had the last day they wanted. They were so consistent on the first one. And now they just can't seem to get it going here, Felix. It's 30 HP, 1v3. It's so rough. It's not going to happen, surely. Can he make the unthinkable work? No, he can't. No. Nepal. They're going home.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't even know what to say anymore. Nepal is not going to cut it. They're not going to be in the top 3. They're not going to make it to Saudi either. Unfortunately for them, their journey will end right this second. And you can tell that Nepal is going to be, especially the fans are going to be sad about this. Next fight comes on through. That's a great double nade coming out from Chinese Taipei. Good turnaround, Lycan. Needs to be careful because he is the last player. This might be the very last round for Leos in this tournament. He'll be getting picked apart from far. And Japan gets the last one out of the 4 players that have all fallen by now.
Laos out of this one. The question is, what can Malaysia do? What can Indonesia do? They've lost 1 now. They've had such good circles coming towards them. They have lost a member. Myanmar have lost 2 as well. They're not out of reach here either. There is a world where Vietnam and Indonesia are both past Myanmar. That is entirely possible. If they don't have a good game here, but they're looking for scraps. They're looking for single kills, double kills. If they can just pick up Chinese Taipei here, that could be easily enough to secure them in the finals on LAN in Riyadh.
The one big goal that every team has in mind. Going to Riyadh. Representing your nation at the IESF official World Esports Championship, where the best 16 PUBG Mobile nations will come together to fight it out for a prize pool of $130,000 US. It's getting bigger every year. IESF is not slowing down. 80,000 last year. This time around, it's 130,000. Who knows what it will be next year? Because sky is the limit, and PUBG Mobile Esports just doesn't seem to slow down either. PMWC coming up, and so on and so forth. These global tournaments keep on putting up prize pools that are just life-changing for any player. And IESF is doing exactly the same. Chinese Taipei has to make it across. There's a big fight for Myanmar. Still one of the teams in the running. They've got 0 points right now. It is 11 teams still alive, so no placement points inside, as they will have to survive against Chinese Taipei running through their combat.
On the other side, though, this is big as well. This is Vietnam versus Japan, but that's not the fight I'm worried about. It's Malaysia flexing out of their compound there. At the bottom of the minimap, you can see that Malaysia is looking at this. Malaysia is trying. They're hiding on out, and they want to come out of that compound. Malaysia now, Myanmar on the other side of the spectrum. They're getting pushed in. They're getting pushed out of the small bit of cover they've had. They outnumbered as well, out-utilitied here. Lamborghini falls in the kill feed, but Myanmar as well, holding on for dear life.
Holding on for dear life. Question is, can they survive this onslaught of Chinese side play players? Smiles' position is given away now, and he's not secured a knock. This might not be the perfect situation for him. Molotov doesn't hit anything either. He's pushing it. Look at this, and I'm not sure if he knows where Pink is. Pink has to realize this. Pink is still in the middle of healing. Oh, this is such an important knock. Smile. He's been the individual key fragger for Myanmar, and he does it again. Pink goes down. Just 2 more players left standing. He doesn't stop. He realized it himself. That might be a little bit too much. Falls back just in time before he gets taken down. 2v2.
Zone has shifted, though. They both have to get out of this compound in just a matter of seconds here. 30 seconds until the zone starts moving, and then they'll have to get out of there. So this is a point where you make a decision. Are you happy with just getting these 2 kills? But look at this. Look at the kill feed. Vietnam is falling apart. That's 1 flush, 1 knock. It's not looking good for them. Lamborghini out, Guangji out as well. Oh no, Vietnam just at the very finish line. It's looking like they're faltering. It's just Gosu left standing with so many players around them. They all want to close this out. Malaysia especially would love to close this, would love to get these kills. It would make their approach so much easier. Gosu's on the send. But he's sending into territory that's not in the zone here, Felix. Where can he even go from here?
Can he make it past, though? Can he make it past? Gozo is on a miraculous run. Maybe he's going to make it somehow into the circle. A couple of points would already be a pretty good thing for him, and might even be enough depending on how well the other team's plays. But he's driving straight into the competition. This is as worse as it gets. It couldn't get any worse. This is as bad as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. Indonesia is picking up that frag. Direct competition for Vietnam. And I think at this point we can tell that Indonesia may have overtaken Vietnam already. Unless they go down immediately. I don't think there's a way.
Oh my lord, he got a little bit too greedy. He made it somehow, made it past 3-4 teams, but then he wanted to go for a position that he can actually play the game from, and takes another bit of risk. It doesn't pay off in the end. Myanmar still scrapping points together, still looking for every single one. Smile. He's been the hero in the last one. He's looking to be the same role again. They take down Chinese Taipei. That's 3 points. That's pushing them close to placement points now. Could it be enough? It should be. It should be with Vietnam out, surely. But what is Malaysia doing?
Yeah, and what is Nepal doing? Malaysia is important, and Nepal as well. Nepal, last time we checked, did still have... No, Nepal is out actually in the meanwhile. I didn't even see that.
Yes.
Of course, three frags. Nepal is out. Okay, so it really is only Malaysia and Indonesia.
Yeah.
At this point. If Malaysia wins this round, and they've got a pretty good position to do so, then they might have a chance at this one. Be reminded, 84 points to 97 from Vietnam. That was a cutoff. Now, Indonesia has overtaken Vietnam now, I think.
Yes.
Or at least
Indonesia
tied.
is on 98. 1 placement point and 1 kill.
Yes, 1 placement point. So 98. So Malaysia
Vietnam's
needs to
out.
win this game.
Vietnam's
Malaysia
out,
needs to win this game. Yeah. Vietnam is out, and Malaysia needs to win this game. If they want to qualify.
What a heartbreak after the day they've had.
Great shots.
After the day they've had, after the game 11 they've had, after the Erangel where they got so close to winning. Vietnam was so close so many times. And now they just barely fall short. Malaysia is the last one that has to say anything about Indonesia making it.
Yeah.
As we see Cambodia just struggling to hold on for another while. Maldives, they don't want to let that happen. They want to close out their edge of the circle. But it's really all about Malaysia. What can they still do with this?
That's the big question. Maldives still on the run. Pakistan still alive as well. That solidifies their qualification as well. Not that we were ever in doubt after the first 2 matches. Even after the last matches from last game day. We are continuing now. This might be a pretty important fight as well. Indonesia against Myanmar. Myanmar has had a couple of points. Indonesia could still, in theory, depending on how well Malaysia plays, get them out of it. Looks like it's going to be a cleanup. And yes, it is. Of course, it's Yami again. The man that is in the run for the qualification MVP, who's had the majority of frags for Indonesia, has now almost safely secured them the qualification. Myanmar had 104 points before this game. Yeah. I think they're going to be somewhere around 108, somewhere around that maybe 109, maybe 110 mark, yes. Depending on how well Indonesia played, they could catch up to 110. And depending on how well Malaysia plays, they could catch up to this as well. So it's all going to come down to how well Malaysia plays, because otherwise it is going to be Myanmar and Indonesia that will be the rest in terms of qualifying for Riyadh and the IESF World Esports Championship.
We've praised Malaysia for being consistent. They haven't been consistent today, but they might still show up in the last game here. This is a good fight for them to take. They have all the high ground in the world. If they find an opening, they can isolate this. They could sweep around the low ground, around Secret, Evil. Just clap them from both sides. There's the first. Jimmy from the top. Pluck from the bottom. Oh! Kenny with another. Malaysia is starting to rack them up. And like we said before, a win with a few kills. Absolutely doable.
Yeah, unfortunately, they need more than just a few kills. They need a win and like 15, maybe even 16, 17 frags. So they essentially need to clean up the whole lobby, if I saw that correctly. Malaysia needs these frags so desperately. Not only the ones against Thailand, they need to clean up the Pakistani players as well. And that's a whole different league, honestly, in terms of fragging that we've seen so far. That's a good knock very far. Jimmy turns around, might even have a chance to take out one more Thailand player. His teammate's been knocked right in front of him, and he's being taken down to very low HP.
Indonesia's out.
This might be falling apart now, but Indonesia's out. Yes, indeed.
Indonesia's out. That's the last little bit of hope for Malaysia. He's crawling. He's trying to get res. Kenny on the tree. Can he find it? So far, no knocks being traded. They're trying to get numbers back up. They're trying to get back up on their feet. The placement points are not calculated here in the points that you see at the top, but it was 90 without them. Oh boy, this one's getting closer and closer. But Jimmy, he really needs to get this. He really needs to close this out, but he knows he can't. He knows he can't overstep. He can't make it down that hill. He has to play it safe. He has to trust on his teammates.
Yeah, the teammates should get the revive in the meanwhile. Malaysia is still in the run for this, ladies and gentlemen. We still got a contender for the top 3 spots, depending on how well Malaysia finishes off this round. But we do have to remember it is Pakistan who still got 4 players alive in the middle of the circle. And it looks like they are playing as passive as it gets. They want to win this round under any and all circumstances. Let's run on over to the north side. Maldives is still fighting their way in against Cambodia. Last player goes down. They may have even had a little bit of help from Malaysia, who's picking up 8 frags already. There he goes. 3 teams left standing now, ladies and gentlemen. If Malaysia wins this somehow miraculously against Pakistan, I think they might be in the run for a qualification spot as well.
They might be able to do it here. They might be able to do it now or never. But it's the worst team you could be facing right now, folks. It's a 4-man Pakistan with a compound that they're playing out of. These guys have been so scary throughout the days. They've been so clean, so surgical when it comes to late games especially. There is a chance, though. There's a chance Malaysia runs away with it. They want to close out the Maldives on top so they have anything to play, but every step they take, they've got to be careful. It's so treacherous. You overexpose yourself a little bit, you have multiple teams collapsing on you. It's not an easy feat, but if you ever want to do it, you got to do it now.
Yeah. Pakistan still in the compound. I do see a way. I do see a way in which this is happening. That is, if the circle shifts north outside of the compound, I feel like Malaysia will have the advantage, but Pakistan, everything we've seen from them so far has just been super clean and coordinated. The other option would be for Pakistani to just push out into the Maldives, maybe lose a play in the process, and then Malaysia is just going to be there to clean up the rest, but either way, it's still very, very tricky. It's an absolute nail-biter, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Malaysia needs the win. A second place is not going to cut it.
And they're trying to push for it as well. They're trying to push for these kills. You see Jimmy, he's just pulling up right ahead of them, right in front of them. Plenty of chances for Pakistan to move on out on this, but they haven't taken them. Nanu with a big nade, though. That's the first knock. Jimmy is the one pulling up close, but Jimmy is not the one that has util. His teammates could have maybe done the trick, but he's the one who gets caught now. Kenny stays alive for another few seconds here, but it's a matter of time until Pakistan finds that knock as well. And it's falling apart from Malaysia. They're one up. They're one up between multiple teams. 2 4-mans around them. Oh, it might just be too little too late here, Felix.
Yes, I think it is. One player left standing for Malaysia. And it is Olayo. And he's got Pakistan creeping up. Who knows? Maybe he can do something absolutely insane. If the Maldives get a couple of knock against Pakistan, who's lost a player as well, Yoni went out, then maybe it's possible. Maldives has got the zone. They have at least a little bit of the zone, a little bit more space to play with, but Pakistan on the other side have made the timing perfectly. The move out of the compound came at, honestly, the absolute perfect time. So they have secured pretty good positions as well to hold out the Maldives players. And in the midst of all of it is still one Malaysian player. And he knows who the rest of the players are, but he can't do anything just yet. Question is, even if he wins this, is it going to be enough points-wise? I think he needs to pick up frags as well.
Yeah, and I think the points are slowly trickling away, right? Pakistan is getting one. Oh, can he do the 1v2? Can he get it going? He gets another pro, and he has another chance for a reset. But he knows he needs every single point. The molly is good. He's not on fire, though. He's running it down with the UMP. He might clutch this one out. He might have a chance at it. But it's the Maldives, and it's Malaysia who get crushed in the last game. They can't get it going. They leave it too late.
Unfortunate for Malaysia. I don't think it's going to be enough for the qualification. He had 4 nades on him as well. Their teammates have already been taken down. The last player from the Maldives on the eastern side was the one that was being picked up by Pakistan just recently, and that means Pakistan now in full control of the circle, looking to close things out as strong as they've started this very first qualification day. These guys will be going to Riyadh, and this nade, at the very least, is going to absolutely confirm that a win to top it off after their strong performance is what they wanted, and they played it so safe up until this point. Last player is probably gonna be Sayu here, who's already being shot at by Noki. Shots in the back, shots in the front. Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, are you winners of this qualifier, and deservingly so.
Crazy stuff coming out of Pakistan. Like we said, right? They close it off in the same fashion that they started it. And they show in the last game, hey guys, we've let it slip a little bit. We've gone onto the slower side of things for a few games, but we're still here, and if we want to win a game, we will. And like you said, that is enough to win the qualifications. That is enough for first place. But oh my, was it a battle. Second and third, so close, Felix.
Super, super close. And we're going to see that at the overall standings. I, once again, unfortunately don't think it's going to be enough for Nepal, for Myanmar. It is probably going to be enough for Myanmar, but not for Malaysia, not to be confused. Let's start it off with Brunei, who have had a pretty good start to this. Honestly, one of the best starts we've ever seen, actually, in the entire IESF qualifier. I don't think there was a team that had 8-9 frags in phase 1. They did. They challenged both of these teams that hard dropped them. They got all of these frags on their own. But we all know how the rest of the games have gone, and unfortunately, it's just not enough. Nepal losing the final fight against Chinese Taipei. Of all the teams, Chinese Taipei was the one to bring Nepal's downfall. Haitami, the last one to lose his battle. And even though it looked so strong in the meanwhile, Nepal was so consistent. The really big round, the one really big round they needed, never came through.
It never came through, and they weren't consistent today. They really just couldn't get it going, and it felt so bad considering what they showed us yesterday and how they showed us that they were able to do it. But that's the second story of tonight. Vietnam with some crazy comebacks, with some crazy rounds today. On Erangel, on Miramar. But in the end, that last Miramar just breaks their neck. Stuck between Malaysia and Japan, excuse me. And they couldn't find a way. They couldn't find a place to call home. And oh my, they made it close. But I am almost certain that it wasn't enough for them either.
No, I don't think so. Last couple of shots over towards the northern side. Cambodia cleaning out that edge before getting cleaned up by the Maldives themselves. And then in the end, I felt like Malaysia would have had a chance, but I think they had to realize that for them to win the game, they'll have to wait for Pakistan to make a move. Unfortunately, they started that fight against the Maldives a little bit too early. They got third party as a result of that. You saw Kenny trying to make it down the ridgeline. He hit some pretty good shots, actually, and the players from Pakistan who also tried to have a look at him. But, yeah, it was nowhere near enough. Malaysia, just the zone working against them and also losing that one player in that initial fight, just cost them.
Yeah.
Just cost them too much.
The thing is, they know as well, right? They need a big game. They can't just win the game with 3 to 4 eliminations here. They know they need double digits. They know they need to come off big. So they are trying to take all the fights they can. And that's hard to pull off. That's hard to do cleanly. And in the end, it was way, way easier for Pakistan to punish this than it was for Malaysia to play cleanly. So the expected result in the end, but that is pretty much what you get when you put yourself in a position where you need a 20-25 point game, right? At that point, you're at such a big disadvantage that it just becomes really hard to pull off.
Quickly go over Pakistan before we take a look at the overall standings that all of you guys out there at home are waiting for. Noki and Falek, as well as IQ, each securing themselves a couple of more eliminations. Not that they needed it, but in terms of the MVP discussions, maybe IQ has set another mark. But then again, it's only been 2 eliminations, 600 damage, and I wouldn't really call this round a tough one for Pakistan. They were just sitting in the compound, and were quite comfortably doing so.
They win the round they need to win. IQ puts another 600 damage on his absolutely insane damage total already. And it's a 17-point game for them. It's 15 for the Maldives, but they were out of the conversation here for quite a while. It's 9 elims for Malaysia, but that can't be enough. The gap was just too big. And then it falls off really hard. Indonesia, 5. And a lot of our other top teams, a lot of our other two teams are not even on the top side of the scoreboard. Myanmar with 5. We're going to see Nepal on the bottom side of that leaderboard. We're going to see... Excuse me. We're going to see Nepal, for example, on the bottom side of the leaderboard. I think 2 to 3 points. 3. That's all she wrote. Vietnam, 1. It wasn't a successful games for a lot of teams in the top here.
No, not a successful game for plenty of these teams at the top. As you said, Nepal and Bhutan yourself, unfortunately, relatively weak. Timor-Leste with 2 frags. Laos with just 2 points as well. Not getting a single placement point. And then also Vietnam, just 1 point. They needed maybe like 5 to 10 and it would have been enough.
Yeah.
But they... What are we talking about? Nepal and choking. But so has Vietnam, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's rough. It's rough. They needed, I think, 4 points this match. Indonesia ended up with 5, so 4 would have been enough for Vietnam. But it's a hard game for them. I understand why they didn't get a whole lot of points this match. It's just, whenever you leave it down to the last match, anything can happen, right? It's just the way PUBG goes. Circles go and fights go a way that you can't always control. And in the end, it's a heartbreak because they also do feed that kill over straight to Indonesia, right? So,
yeah.
Indonesia... more consistent overall throughout the tournament. Not in this match. This match has been a whole lot of Malaysia and a whole lot of the Maldives, but somehow Japan sneaking on in there and getting themselves the highest damage. It's not what I had on my cards, to be honest.
No, Apollo looking to make a name for himself once more. These guys will play the PUBG Mobile Japan League again and will probably try their best to qualify next year. But at least for this time around, it is not going to be enough. Match MVP, Jimmy, surprising to me. But also not really surprising because Pakistan, even though they won the game, had a relatively quiet one. Falek, you can see 3 eliminations. He was the best fragger for Pakistan. While Jimmy really had to clean up that western edge. 5 eliminations for him.
5 eliminations, they did everything they could. They worked their absolute butts off, and it wasn't enough in the end. It's a heartbreak for Malaysia. But they did what they could. And I think everybody that's so close to the top here can be really proud of themselves. Even a Vietnam that doesn't win it in the end. Even a Nepal that really falls short. They've played a really good tournament here. And I think it's no shame to fall short to an Indonesia, a Boom Esports roster that has really just put up big numbers consistently. And a Pakistan that has shown us insane things from time to time here. Only 7 elims, not a ton of damage. This game has been way more active for Malaysia, but a lot of these teams that were so close to the top here that we talk about why they didn't make it, and that's the focus of the conversation, they still played a really good tournament.
Yeah, they really did. We will be heading into the overall leaderboard to really get a good look again at who qualified and to get a final definitive answer on the question, who is going to Riyadh, who has booked their tickets, who has been able to make that long path happen, that long road from qualifying for your individual nation to, you know, challenging all these other Asian and Oceania teams. And I mean, it's been such a tough road in a best of 12 against 18 other teams to you know, solidify your spot in the top 3. That's the first thing I really want to just quickly add on before we go into the overall leaderboard, because once again, it's different strategy. It is super tough opponents on top of that, and you also have maps like Xenok in there that just to some degree in a best of 12 have massive amounts of X factors and massive amounts of variables that you can't really control, starting off with contests, and to still have so many teams competing really goes to show you how high the standard this lobby has been.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 7 teams essentially in the last 2 matches that could have still grabbed a spot, Vietnam being one of them.
Vietnam being one of them, but we do have word from production in the background. We do have the teams that have qualified and have stamped their tickets to the World Esports Championship. So we are going to have a look at who that is. You guys will all have a pretty good idea. I've seen the flags in chat. I see the spam from Pakistan and Indonesia and Myanmar. And they have all deservedly made it here. All of them showing up massively at different stages of this tournament. It's been ups and downs for all of them, but regardless, they all deserve to be here.
Unbelievable stuff. If you would have told me that Myanmar was gonna make it in,
yeah,
over the likes of Nepal, for example, that's crazy to me. But then again, they have played pretty well in the tournaments they've played so far, and these guys are on a winning streak as well, right? The Myanmar roster from Genesis, they have won PMCL Southeast Asia Spring this season, and they've also won the MESL Pro Series, even though it was a smaller tournament. So these guys are on a roll, and these guys are used to winning as well. Not even specifically in this lineup, but in this lineup also. So I mean, it's only surprising in contrast to who hasn't made it, right? Vietnam, such an experienced roster. We've talked about it millions of times. Players that have played global championships and still haven't made it. Players like Nepal, players from Malaysia, especially as well. None of these guys will make it in. No, it's going to Pakistan, Myanmar, and Indonesia, who have booked that ticket, who will be flying to Riyadh to represent their country at the IESF World Esports Championship 2024 in November.
Crazy stuff from these guys. We'll have a look at the overall standings to show you how close it was in pass. It was 3 points, Felix. It was so much closer than we thought.
What?
Malaysia was 3 points away from making it over Indonesia, tied with Vietnam.
1-5. If he would have won that 1v1,
that would have been 3 points.
Yes, that would have been 3 points. Placement and eliminations. Oh my god. 1v1.
That hurts.
For Malaysia to make it in against Indonesia. That's how close it got. What? Unbelievable.
I thought it was 4, 5, 6 points maybe. Yeah, I have no idea.
So did I.
3.
Oh my lord.
Oh, that's gonna sting. Malaysia, Vietnam, so close but no cigar. Indonesia coming through at the end. Oh me, oh my. Oh boy, PUBG continues to deliver. It's never over until it's over. All they had to do was win a game, but it's so hard. Oh boy. Well played as well. Nepal, close. Japan has shown some greatness. Chinese Taipei winning a game today on Erangel. Brunei with some really good fights, some really good hot drops, but I think they can all keep their heads on high. Like we said earlier, everybody that made it here has performed on a national level and has deservedly represented their nation. But not everybody can go to Riyadh.
Not everybody can make it. Not everybody is gonna be able to go there. The rest of the page 2 that we can see here has also obviously not made it. Bangladesh being one of the biggest disappointments, I want to say, as well as The Maldives, Chinese Taipei, Japan. Some experienced names in there, but unfortunately, only 3 spots at this Asia and Oceanic qualifier here at Group B, so there's only so much you can do, and these guys unfortunately just haven't performed as well as I think the fans have hoped, and as well as we've been hoping for as well.
Yeah. There is 3 teams, though, that can celebrate today. Pakistan, Myanmar, and Indonesia can be very happy about what they achieved today. I think everybody that got close is not going to feel great about it, because being close doesn't really buy you happiness. It's even worse. Sometimes you're happier with an 8th place than with a 4th place. But man, 3 teams have punched their tickets. We're now up to 5 qualified teams. 2 of the invited ones already there, the winner of last year and the host country. So we're slowly filling up the slots, but there's a whole lot more of good PUBG Mobile ahead of us, Felix.
Oh yes, Americas and Europe qualifiers will be starting very soon. Keep your eyes peeled on the IESF socials. That means YouTube. I saw plenty of you guys already subscribing to the YouTube channel, where the majority of the viewers are, but also every other channel, right? Instagram, International Esports Federation, X or Twitter, or however this app is going to be called next month. Also, did I say Instagram again? TikTok also, International Esports Federation. Anyway, you guys, literally anything you use, you can find the International Esports Federation, and these guys will keep you up to speed. Once again, for the Americas and Europe qualifiers that will still be coming out. And obviously also for the African Esports Championship that will be coming up very shortly, just next month. So eyes peeled on it, and then you will get to know who your favorite team is going to be fighting against in Riyadh later this year.
That's it from us. My name is Corvo. It's been a pleasure being here, bringing the games to you guys, talking you through everything that happened. On my side is Felix. Thank you so much for being here with me. Shout out to all the production crew behind the scenes, the observers, the production. They've done an incredible job as well. Working to their teeth. And thank you so much for tuning in. Like we said, there's a lot more PUBG coming, but we'll see you guys very, very soon. And hopefully you guys will play some more PUBG as well. See you guys soon.